Welcome to episode 156 of the quest lore series, Dragon Slayer 2. To start this quest you must have completed Client of Kourend, Bone Voyage, Ghost Ahoy, Animal Magnetism, A Tale of Two Cats, Dream Mentor, Dragon Slayer 1 and Legends Quest. Alec Kincaid of the Myths Guild wants to learn more about dragons. If you can help him fill their library of knowledge, he will grant you access to the Myths Guild, and you can reap the rewards within. He directs you to the Karamja pub to speak with Dallas Jones, who's investigating the destruction of Crandor. You find him as he's about to investigate Elvarg's lair, and you tell him that you're the one who slayed the dragon. He explains that 30 years ago, Crandor used to be a thriving island until one day an adventurer discovered the dragon Elvarg and accidentally awakened her from her sleep. It made short work of the adventurer and emerged from the cave to lay waste to the entire island. Now that Elvarg's dead, Dallas Jones can research her lair. The fact that Elvarg lived alone is an anomaly among dragons. They tend to live in large groups. You see some blockage on the wall and use a pickaxe on it, finding a tunnel that leads to what appears to be a laboratory. Ancient tales say that dragons were created by a powerful race of creatures known as the Dragonkin, who terrorized the world for many years during the early 4th Age, albeit until now no connection has been proven. While investigating the ancient mural, a tiny spawn appears which you easily deal with. The mural has images of dragons and fungi alongside the word Lifkren. You also find some ancient machinery and notes next to it mentioning an experiment which usually fails, although the most recent result showed that the subject displayed heightened aggression but with lower mental capacity. Lifkren is a word that Dallas Jones has seen before on Fossil Island when investigating the connection between wyverns and dragons. In fact, the island has similar architecture to this room. As there was also information regarding spores and mushrooms, that connection now seems even stronger. You're going to meet Dallas there. You go to the house on the hill and climb downstairs, finding him. Lifkren is a nearby island, but there are a lot of islands around, so it's uncertain which one is which. On the floor, there is a grid, which is actually a map that can lead to Lifkren. You search the stone chests and some other places nearby to find tile pieces. These are placed into the correct locations, and with the map complete, you find Lifkren, which is northwest. You ask if the museum might help, but Dallas Jones says that there would be too much paperwork involved and there is no time. He's been researching this for years and is tired of waiting. He says that a dwarf called Jadric, somewhere on the island, would be able to get a boat for him. Jadric owes Dallas a favour, and as all the boats here on the island are owned by the museum, you're going to actually have to build one yourself. 8 oak planks, 10 swamp paste, 12 nails, a hammer and a saw later, you build a rowboat on the west side of the island. You get to the island and Dallas rushes in a hurry to explore. Jadric will look after the boat. You climb up and down some stairs, finding some ancient doors. But there's no keyhole, just a round insertion. You search a skeleton, finding an old book. It reads that the Dragonkin have been known to experiment on creatures, but the scale here is larger than anything they've seen in the past. Robert appears unconcerned, and this most likely refers to Bob the Cat's previous life. The beasts which the Dragonkin have been abducting have been taken to this island, and the plan to come to Lifkren is the last entry into the diary. Dallas Jones thinks that Robert the Strong is dead, but you say that he is actually a cat, which will take him a while to believe or understand. You run around Gillinor to find Bob. He has no memory of Lifkren, so you both go to the Sphinx in Sophonem. The Sphinx grants you the ability to speak with cats without needing the amulet. While the Sphinx may be able to hypnotize Bob, he won't be able to help you find the memories of his past life. You mentioned that the Oneiromancer on Lunar Isle may be able to help. The dream between a cat and a human shouldn't be too different from two humans. You will still need a potion of shared dreaming. In a special vial of water, you mix a ground astral rune and some goutweed. Then you light the ceremonial brazier in the middle of the town and pour the dream potion. Inside the dream you see Bob, and not Bob. You say that you're looking for the memories of Robert the Strong. The memories are on the other side of this barrier. You have to head on and defeat Robert the Strong. You avoid his powerful arrows by running behind the pillars. After you defeat him, Bob's memories come back. As Robert the Strong, he remembers a team of people defeating the Dragonkin who were planning to release a weapon onto the world. A key was split into 4 parts and then hidden across Gillinor. Robert hid 2 of the pieces, one in a maze on the southeastern coast of the Karazi jungle, another in a fortress on a snow-covered island northwest of Relica. Tristan passed another piece down to his descendants in Varrock. Kimura took another of the pieces and travelled west, never returning to the mainland. You then make your way to the maze in the Karazi jungle and navigate it, avoiding damage from the Guardians who have 3 different attack styles. You also disarm traps and jump over others using your thieving and agility abilities. On your way to the center, you find a skeleton with a journal belonging to Malamak. In the center, you find a plinth with a dragon key piece which you take. Reading the journal, you learn that Malamak was a disciple of Zamorak. Zamorak had ordered a team of people to go to Karamja to look for this piece. How he got this information is still unknown. Next you ask Reldo in the Varrock Castle Library about Tristan Corvo. He says there might be records of his descendants in a red book. You learn that they settled in Mauritania. You find a ghost called Sarah and ask if she knows any of the Corvos. She says that she is in fact Sarah Corvo. Her father told her to keep the piece protected no matter what. When the vampires came to Port Phasmatis, she buried it out in the swamps to stop them from getting it. You have an idea to look for the metal by speaking to Ava, who made the accumulator for you. You explain that you're looking for a piece of the key made of red metal buried somewhere in the Mauritania swamp. She recognizes that the red metal is orichalcum, or dragon as the adventurers call it. With a cut dragonstone, 2 molten glass, a glass blowing pipe and a chisel, you make a locator orb. She adjusts it and you can now track the piece. She also thinks that she might be able to upgrade your accumulator device if you bring her something stronger than chicken feathers. You use the locator orb, although it's a bit unstable, and you take damage when you use it. And when you eventually find the spot, you dig to get the second dragon key piece. You talk to Brunt the chieftain about a dragonkin fortress where Robert may have hidden his piece. The island is called Ungale, a dark place guarded by a deadly beast called Vorkarth. On the docks, Thorfinn can take you to Ungale. After a long and heroic battle with the mighty Vorkarth, you defeat it and go up the ice chunks behind him, pass a ruined building and find stairs into a cave. You find an incubator which you inspect, finding an old note inside it. It says that the storage of samples here is better due to the cold, but they need more room, so they're planning to build a bigger facility on Lifkren. In the southwestern section, you see a lever which you pull and you hear a ticking sound. You run to the wall on the eastern side before the door closes. Inside you find a chest with another piece of the dragon key and also a different, ancient key. Kimura founded the Shazian on Zaya. In the Shazian crypts, you run past skeletons which attack you with all 3 styles, and you eventually make it to the central area where you find a tomb that you inspect. The plaque on it is loose and removing it reveals a second inscription. Robert, Kimura, Tristan and Ivus sat at a round table to plan their victory. It talks about on what side each hero sat at the table in terms of north, south, east or west, and what their weapon was. So you grab the 4 busts from the corner of the room and place them according to the riddle. Now when you search the tomb you find the final key piece. To forge the 4 dragon key pieces together, you need a furnace that's hotter than a typical one. Bob doesn't remember exactly where it is, but he says you might find one guarded by dragons of Mithril. You enter the ancient cavern and insert the ancient key that you found on Ungale into the door, getting into a strange room with 3 dragon heads and an orb. You cast Fire Wave on each of the heads and the apparatus is set in motion. You then go to the southwestern area of the ancient cavern and find an incredible looking forge. You use the anvil here to smith the 4 pieces of the dragon key together, successfully remaking it. You now use the ancient key on the ancient doors. It fits perfectly into the hole. On the other side you see a huge dragon and a mysterious voice says that the dragon's name is Galvek. The voice was of a dragonkin called Zorgoth. It turns out that Elvarg was just the first attempt at the weapon and was much weaker than Galvek. All the other dragonkin were defeated, but when the door was sealed it gave Zorgoth all the time he needed to perfect his experiment. More powerful than any other dragon, it would annihilate all of humanity. When asked why, he says that all of the dragonkin were killed, so to retaliate he will kill all of the humans. Galvek awakens and kills Dallas. You grab Bob and run away. Jardek shoots an arrow at Galvek, so Zorgoth attacks him. Galvek flies out from the ruins as it crumbles. Zorgoth is about to assemble an army of dragons. Wondering what to do, Jardek suggests going to King Rold as he has a large army. Jardek will talk with Keldgrim. King Rold is aware that dragons have been spotted flying around. You explain that Zorgoth is bringing them under his control and forming an army which he intends to use to attack humanity. In the meantime, King Rold asks you to visit King Lathus, Chieftain Brunt and Ceramic Vase to gather in Varrock to discuss the dragon threat. The kings will have to put aside their petty disagreements in this endeavour. In the dining room of Varrock Castle, all the leaders of the world are gathered to fight the greatest threat that they have ever seen. The plan is to attack the dragons before they attack the rest of the world, and it would keep the fight away from any innocents. Each ruler will gather their fleet of ships. Even though it won't be strong against the dragonfire, it's the best plan of action. Everyone works together to defeat this common enemy. Bob says that the real threat is Zorgoth. No matter how many dragons you kill, it won't be over until Zorgoth himself is dealt with. Without Galvek, Zorgoth has nothing. Thorfinn takes you to the fleet. All the warriors of all the realms of Gielinor are together. Whilst dragons attack the ship, you repair the damaged mast with a hammer and heal Fremeniks that are hurt. You uphold the ship and its members for 4 minutes. As the fleet gets closer to the island, the ships are overwhelmed. You now climb onto the debris of the ships, jumping from one to another. On the Varrock ship you defeat a red dragon, an iron dragon and a brutal green dragon. Then you see Bob and defeat 2 more blue dragons and green dragons. Then, when Zorgoth tells Galvek to shoot a fireball at you, Bob fucking jumps in front to save you. No! Bob! Next you defeat black, steel and brutal red dragons, and your allies appear to help. You defeat the mithril, adamant and rune dragons together, and Zorgoth now releases the full might of Galvek's power. Your allies are watching your back whilst you take him on. After a very intense battle with 4 phases, you defeat Galvek, he fires one last breath out and it kills Zorgoth. That was for Bob. A statue is placed in memory of Bob. You go back to Alec Kincaid outside the Myths Guild and tell him all about the quest and all that you discovered. The secrets you uncovered help to fill out the Library of Knowledge and you are welcomed into the guild. You get 80,000 smithing, 60,000 mining, 50,000 agility and 50,000 thieving XP. You can now pass the magical barrier into the Myths Guild. The gnome Primula teaches you how to make some anti-dragonfire potions. You can now talk to Ellen, who will train you for 4 times 25,000 XP in combat skills of your choice minus prayer. You can now make wrath runes, forge dragonplate body and kite shields, and have access to adamant and rune dragons. With Vorkarp's head you can make Ava's assembler, and you can also craft ferocious gloves with hydra leather. Join me next time where I'll explain the lore behind Song of the Elves.